Meat City, baby.
Hello and welcome back to Meat City Gaming. JD here with another episode of Kicking Aces here in World of Tanks. And today we are in the T28 Prototype in a Tier 8 battle on Erlenberg. And this tank, the T28 Prototype, is one that is kind of outside my wheelhouse. I prefer, if you've been tuning into this channel, I prefer tanks that are versatile, mobile, able to adapt to the different kinds of battles. I like tanks that are fast, usually with a reliable gun, and you can use them offensively when you have to, as a scout when you have to come back and protect the cap when you have to. So a lot of my tanks that I've played and the lines that I've grind are those type of tanks. But I wanted to expand my horizons a little bit and get into a bit of a different style with the end goal of getting a big tank at tier 10 with a really big gun and also some decent armor. So for me, I'm choosing to go after the T110E4, the turreted American tier 10 tank destroyer. However, to get there, you need to go through some tanks that really don't fit my playstyle, the T28 Prototype being one of them. The biggest reason for that was this tank's speed. It was really slow. I think the top speed was either 18 kilometers per hour or 20 kilometers per hour. It crawled, and the problem with that is that it made the tank either really good in some situations or really bad in a lot of situations. If you were up against tier 9 opponents, your armor's not going to hold up. God forbid if you're up against tier 10 opponents, your armor is not going to do anything at all, and this tank kind of relies on its armor because it can't be mobile and it can't get in and out of dangerous situations quickly. So if you pick a flank at the start of the battle, and you pick the wrong one, well, then you're screwed again because you're not fast enough to change to the situation. If you go one way, everybody abandons you, then you're stuck. Or if the enemy goes the flank you didn't go to and they get into your cap, you're not going to be able to get back in time to do anything about it. So this tank, if you could get it into a position where its armor was effective in the right kind of matchmaking with enemies in front of you and you can just use this gun, it's got a good gun, then you'd do alright. But almost any other situation, it was just going to be a very difficult battle for you. However, recently the patch notes changed this tank. They buffed its speed. They almost doubled it. The top speed is now, I believe, 28 kilometers per hour. And you're still not going to win any races in this thing, but it's way better than it was before, and it makes it almost usable in a lot more situations. You're able to adapt to the battle a little bit better. If you pick the wrong flank, you can shift. If you need to get back, you can get back in a lot more situations than you could before. So if you were holding off on this tank, and I was certainly not grinding it very quickly, the patch notes have changed my mind. It is now a more reliable tank. It's still a bit slow. It still doesn't do well in high tier battles when it's bottom tier, but it's better than it was, and when it works, it really works. So here we are in Erlenberg. Early on, I took a nice position on the hill here. We were shooting mostly at tier 6 enemies. The armor was holding up. We bounced a couple shots and got our first 2 kills. Now we're looking at a T29, and this is something I want to highlight, my ammo selection here. You can see that I load quite a few high explosive rounds. I don't do that in many of my normal medium low caliber gun tanks, but when I'm using a tank with a high caliber gun, such as the T28 Prototype, I like to take more high explosive rounds. And the reason is, when I'm in a tank that's not very flexible, that can't be aggressive, that can't push, a lot of battles I find myself in this situation where I'm facing an enemy tank that's in a good position. It's a heavy with its armor angled, or like there, the T29 was hull down. I'm not going to be able to penetrate that tank with my regular ammo or even my premium ammo. So having a high number of these high explosive shells allows me to still damage these tanks, and it'll whittle their health point down, and it'll get them out of that position. If they sit there and they're just bouncing, well, then they're going to still sit there. But if you're taking off 100, 150, then every time you shoot, they're losing hit points. They're going to get nervous. They're going to move. They're going to get out of that position. Or you can just slowly whittle them down. So it's not for everybody. I understand that it might not be the most ideal choice. If you're playing in a platoon, you probably don't need as much HE because you can influence the battle with your platoon mates. But for me, playing on my own in these battles, I like to carry a little bit of additional high explosive ammo, and it usually pays off for me when I use it in the correct situations. And hey, if you get the chance to shoot at a Scorpion or a light tank, then you might just be able to do a nice, really big number of damage in one single shot as well. So we won the north, the enemies won the south, and they had pushed into our cap circle, and we were able to come back. We didn't have to come back too far, but we were able to come back and put in some long-range supporting fire. We picked up our third kill, and we defended the cap, and things look pretty good now. Now, you'll have to forgive, I was at long range, and there was an IS-6 and some other pretty well-armored tanks in the cap circle. I was on defense there, so I did switch to the premium rounds, used more of them than I should have, and used them way less effectively than I should have. I think I fired 7 premium rounds there and didn't do anything near 7 hits and penetrations. But it did the job. We won the flank. We defended the base. And now I'm able to give some assistance here. And you can see I was able to pop up, roll down the hill. Now, obviously not moving fast enough to really do a lot of ramming damage to the IS there. But enough to get in there, distract him, and save the KV-4, keep it in the fight. Unfortunately, my reload was a little bit slow there. I would have liked to have gotten that 4th kill, but the KV-4 gets it. It's a kill for the team, and it's another tank that remains in the game, thanks to me helping out a little bit there. And, you know, if the T28 prototype was still as slow as it was, I might not have been willing to come down the hill and charge and distract the IS-6 there like I did. But it worked out. So we're in a pretty good situation here. We are up by 3 tanks. It's 9-12 in terms of the score. The enemy is backed up pretty good, but a number of our tanks, myself included, are on low hit points. So we certainly don't want to throw anything away. And there we go. The enemy gets another kill, and now it's 3-on-5. So a very close match. We can see there is a Yag Tiger. I believe that's the 88 version, the premium. And this is what you really don't want to do. What my STA-1 is doing, he's engaging a one-on-one situation where all of his support is really far away. Thankfully, it does draw the Yag Tiger out of cover, and I'm able to put a nice hit into his side armor, but he's able to withdraw and get back into cover before I'm able to reload for my second shot. So right now, we want to use our numbers to our advantage. It's 5-on-3. We want to attack these tanks in 2-on-1 situations, 3-on-1 situations, not 1-on-1 when we have the advantage. If we lose another tank, it's going to be a really close match. So you want to make sure that you're not getting overly aggressive in this phase of the game. Now, that's certainly not a problem when you're driving a T28 prototype because its speed limits the aggression that you can have. But a mobile medium tank, you know, if he can spot the targets, stay in cover, but wait for his backup to kind of help and get into position to put in some assisting fire, then it might be a better outcome for the team. So the Yag Tigers dug in pretty good back there. I'm taking a look at the T32, another tank in a defensive position. He has the high ground. He's kind of up around the castle there, so no real good opportunities. That's another strong turret for the T32 there, even better than the T29. So another candidate for high explosive damage. So I do load the HE, and well, we get a chance here to aim at the Yag Tiger. Unfortunately, it takes out our friendly, I think it was an STA-1, but I'm able to put a shot in and track him because I had the high explosive loaded. It exploded, took his tracks off, and there we go, a second shot. That one goes into the lower plate, did some nice damage, and another critical hit. Unfortunately, my allies weren't able to take advantage for more than, I think, just one assisted shot there. And again, the Yag Tiger pulls back. But in the meantime, we did get another kill. So now it's 4-on-2. Again, the numbers are still pretty good. So I'm going to advance and try to get into a position here where I can shoot at the T32 if it comes forward, but I'm still protected from the Yag Tiger. The armor on the front of the T28 prototype is decent. If you have Tier 8s and 7s shooting at you, it'll bounce some shots, but the side armor is garbage. You do not want to get caught in the side armor with this tank. So Allies, again, stepping up, taking out the second to last tank. The T-32 is gone. We fire our last HE round into the tracks of the Jagdtiger, pinning him in place. We reload, and this blind shot, whoa, I was sure that was going to go in. I thought he was going to pull back, be right where that shot went, and I guess it went a little bit high. But now that the Jagdtiger has pulled down the hill, we're going to make our move. We're going to try to get in here. We don't want him to be able to poke and withdraw, poke and withdraw. Once he's down now, all of us are going to push as one, get in there close. He was able to take out one of our friendly tanks, so it's a 3-on-1 situation, but we're all able to take at least one hit from this tank. The KV-4 has a nice chunk of its hit points left, and the other heavy has even more of its hit points. So 3 tanks against a TD without a turret looks pretty good for us. I'd like to be able to get in here, get another kill, but the KV-4, I believe that's the same one we saved earlier on, or assisted earlier on, charges in, gets a couple of shots in, secures the last kill, and pulls down a win here on Erlenberg. So this tank had a really nice impact on the battle, and we'll take a quick look at the post-game stats. We can see even firing 7 of those premium rounds and not penetrating all of them, we still turned a little bit of a profit there, 15,000 plus on the silver, and we had 4,400 damage, another almost 1,200 assistance, and that was enough for an ace tanker in the T28 prototype. It looks like ace tankers are completely fixed. This is awesome. I'm really excited about it. It was one of the best things that's happened to the game in a while for me, is that ace tankers are working again. They're attainable again. If you have a good game, you can get rewarded for it, and you can check off some ace tankers for the tanks that you play in your garage, as long as you have a decent handle on how they work. So we got a ton of medals and operations complete there. Maybe 1 or 2 of those operations was a silver earner, so maybe that helped us cheat out the silver profit, because again, we fired more premium rounds than we should, less effectively than we should. Taking a look at the detailed stats now, we can see we came in top on the team. 1,748 base XP was enough for the ace tanker, and for me, that's on the fringe. Like, if that was a first class, I wouldn't have been upset, but that felt good enough that it should have been an ace tanker, and it just was, I think. When you hit 1,800, 1,900 base XP, those should be ace tankers just about every time, other than for really, really good tanks that people dominate in. So, a nice game. You can see we fired 25 shots, 20 of those were hits, and 17 went in. So, not bad performance from the gun, and all in all, a nice, well-rounded game that shows off the capabilities of the T28 prototype. Nothing too drastic showing off the speed here, but enough flexibility that we were able to get into position early on, get those shots into the Tier 6 tanks, get back quickly enough before the enemy had a chance to dig in our own cap circle, and then again at the end of the game there, push to assist the KV-4, and then push across the bridge into enemy territory to help take down the Jagdtiger 88 and secure the win. So, all in all, if you're now considering, or if you were ever considering pursuing the T110E4, there's no better time to do it. Don't let the T28 prototype be the roadblock that scares you off from this line. It's not so bad anymore. There's a lot more situations in which this tank will do a good job, and like I said, when it works, it can work really well. You can dig in, put the gun to work, bounce some shots, and pull down an ace tanker and really help your team secure a victory. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. If you did, please feel free to leave a like. I truly do appreciate it. And as always, you can subscribe to Meat City Gaming for future World of Tanks console content. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time.